Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Here in this phenomenal race, Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin's the lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening everyone and welcome back to the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel for round number 4 of this PC F2 season. Tonight we travel from the storied soil of Silverstone to new uncharted territory, never before raced here in PC F2. We had to listen to, well, I told Nathan I'd mess up at the beginning. I already have. We head to the Losail International Circuit in Qatar this evening, where the drivers will take to this fast and twisty race course. So far this season, it's been a hotly contested championship. Who knows who's going to come out on top here in the Qatari desert. My name is Dan Field, and once again, as always, I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's going to be a good race, definitely. This track, I've seen a few of the drivers practicing on, and I saw the race last night. I think, yeah, again, we're coming to another. Well, it's a new track, which obviously some of the drivers have obviously done practice on, some more than others. I know there's a few drivers in, I think, F3 said they did no practice at all. Hopefully there's a few more people who've done practice here, but yet again, great track, obviously built mainly for MotoGP, but F1 thought, we'll go here, and to be fair, it's probably one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. To drive and to commentate over it is such a great circuit, so yeah, it's going to be another great race for the championship, only separated by 5 points.
Yeah, it is incredibly fun to drive. I haven't really commentated over it all that much. I remember doing some social races, but having loads of lobby issues, so I wasn't able to actually get any racing. But qualifying is really fun to watch around here because it is such a high-speed circuit. You know, these guys have got to go maximum commitment around every single corner around this track, and I think it's going to be much the same with this PC F2 grid. Welcome in everyone this evening in the live chat. Hopefully you are all doing well, and we shouldn't be too long from getting into this race. I do though need to join the lobby.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Everyone's in nearly, so hopefully we get started on time today and we don't end up waiting for another 20 minutes. So if you wasn't here last week, we got started, well, the race started at 45 minutes past the hour, which is 25 minutes later than usual. So this time, we will probably start on time, hopefully, as long as we have no issues, but it's a new track. For some reason, there will be some brand new issue we've never seen before. But yeah, looking for the championship, it is very close. I can see there's 2 people on 13 points, there's 3 on 9 points, 3 on 8 points. So yeah, I'd say at the top, it's 5 points difference, but then we drop back down by about 16 points to Joseph, and then from then, it is really close all the way down.
Yeah, absolutely. I can actually just quickly get the standings up on my other screen here. Just one sec. I have to scroll through all of them and I'll read them out to you. As of round number 3 at Silverstone, Jack West is your new championship leader, overtaking Mirko Soriano. West is on 38 points, Soriano on 33. There's a big drop off to Joseph Loke, who I do believe is racing here this evening. Indeed he is. He's, I believe, filling in for Max Wiesel because Max has gone on holiday. Can he make it 2 for 2? We'll have to wait and see. In 4th in this championship, it is Duncan Hoffland, who was able to capture a podium last time out in Silverstone, and then Andrei Tarabukin, who I do believe is racing this evening. I think he broke his wheel or something, but he's managed to get it fixed, which is very nice indeed. He sits in 5th, and Tamas Gal 6th. 7th is Joost Noordijk. 8th is Flores Fires, and then rounding out the top 10 with Bent, Jabo Konyi, and Legend Rosenberg. Then from 11th downward, it's Max Wiesel, Harvey Cohen, Zander van Dijken, Jan Halliday, Daniel Koya, Timo Zelenkovic, Chana Kinchi, Tycho Hardy, Shimon Lakomsky, and then... Oh, sorry, I'm losing where I am. Jono Martins, Camo Sakura, Yannick Schmidt, Sergio Sobrino, Rishan Jacobs, Matthew Older, and Declan Barrett. From Lakomsky downwards are yet to score points in this championship. So at the top of the order, it is just close between two drivers, Nathan.
It is, and I'm not sure if Declan's racing tonight. I don't know if he is. I don't think he's, is he now? Obviously, Declan came from F3, won there, and then he came to F2, had a decent race, didn't score any points, but it's his first race here. It's understandable. So, yeah, he's been doing well. I think, obviously, there's a lot more to come from him. As I've looked through, he's definitely not here tonight, which is a shame. Hopefully, he's got more chance throughout the season. Running on round 4, we've got 11 rounds to go to, I believe. So, still another 6 for him to have a chance to race. But, yeah, again, I think Jack West, being his reserve, he's doing a great job leading the championship. So, we've just got to hope that, he doesn't have to miss out on a race. Otherwise, that would completely ruin his chances, because Mirko Soriano sitting close behind him. If Joseph Flo, because 2 or 10 more races as well, he will definitely be up there fighting for the championship. But then you've also got the likes of, Andre, who had 1 podium, and then he's had another point score finish since then, and it just shows how much 1 podium can really help your chances. Otherwise, he'd only be on 3 points, because that podium in the round 1 is on 10, so he's got 13, so he's now in the top 5.
Yeah, of course, it is still very early doors in this season, but the top 6 drivers in the championship, they've all scored a podium. Everyone else downward yet to get one, so, it is all about consistency in PSGL. And I'm actually seeing from Bahrain positions 1, 2, and 3, they were all on the podium there in the championship. So, it just shows how much that consistency, I'm losing my words, how much consistency on the podium actually matters here in PSGL. And just looking at the championship fight, of course, it is 5 points between Jack West and Mirko, but it could have been a lot worse for the Ferrari driver, because, of course, just recently, I believe a few days ago, he was given a 5-second time penalty for an incident, but he's actually had that now removed after a further review from the stewards. So I think Mirko Soriano, he's going to come in here a little bit annoyed that he got that penalty. Luckily, he's got it removed, and I think Nathan, he's going to have a chip on his shoulder this evening.
Definitely. I think Mirko he's done well, considering the amount of bad luck he's had. He's had a lot of incidents involved with himself and others. And I know as well in WOR the other night, he lost his front wing on, I think, lap 1. So he's not had the best luck, but I think he's definitely got the pace to do so. I think, coming over from, I believe, PS, he was also one of the quickest over there. Come over here, and he's still at the top. And I think, give him a few more seasons, well, maybe a few more months of racing, he could be putting himself up with the top guys in esports. I think he's already done a few races with F1, and he's scored a few points, I think. So he's definitely a driver worthy of this championship. But Jack West, I believe he was fighting for a championship a few seasons ago and lost it all, didn't he, in the final race, if I believe?
I'm not too sure. I mean, my memory does not serve me well, unfortunately. But Jack West, he's always been a very competitive driver. He's been around in the F1 league racing scene for absolutely ages. Ever since F1 2019, he was a squeaky voice little kid just shouting at people. But now he's matured, and he's really found himself as a proper title contender here in PC F2. We are about to get ready to get underway in this race. I won't run you through the grid for the time being. We'll do that once we get into the lobby. Of course, it is the 18 minutes qualifying shootout where fastest time nets yourself pole position. We will join you trackside after a quick word from our sponsors at GT Omega. We will see you in just a moment's time. Whoops, wrong game scene, everyone. There we are. We're about to get ready to head into this race. Apologies there. I brought us back into the commentator's corner, but here we are loading into this session. We'll see what we are experiencing here in Qatar. It is, of course, lit underneath the night sky. And I do love night races here in league racing. Should be very exciting. You can see all of the drivers on the side of your screen as we are about to get ready for this session to get underway.
Yeah, definitely. I think a few drivers will get themselves maybe into the 0.7s. I think that'll be probably the max time we'll see, maybe a 0.7 mid, a 0.7 low. Possibly a very big push like we saw in F1 will get a 0.6, but I don't really think that's possible here. So, yeah, 0.7, 0.8, I think most people will be into the 90s. I don't think we'll see many people at all in the 20s. Well, we shouldn't at least see anyone in the 20s anyway. So I think, yet again, it's going to be a hard fight for pole because, yet again, there's bits around this track, maybe the final setup, there's not much difference at all. Not many people within, a gap larger than a tenth. Everyone's within a tenth, maybe 50 thousandths of each other. So, yeah, I think it'll be close at the top. Top 5, top 6, probably separated by about a tenth or something like that. It's a really close track, and I've been watching some of the people practice for this as well over the last couple of days, and they're all within very similar margins of time.
Yep, first driver out on circuit then is Joost Noordijk. So far this season, he's been all right. I think that's just one way to describe him. Jonah Martins leaves this session. Unfortunately, something's gone wrong. Now we're already. Yeah, well, when you leave the session, it automatically. Yeah, and so something's happened there with Jonah Martins. We don't actually know who the host is. Then we might have already a quick lobby restart as Joost Noordijk really doing a job of warming up the tyres, sliding his way along this track, and I'm not sure what quite is happening.
Cam, apparently. Yannick says he's stuck in cockpit cam.
What?
Oh no. So we might have a restart. And then Jonas says his PC lagged, so hopefully him leaving doesn't cause issues. But at the bottom of my screen it just keeps saying migrating host constantly as Duncan's...
Oh, they're all leaving.
Oh, well. We cursed it again.
It was bound to happen, wasn't it? I mean, we get a lobby restart here in PCF2. That might be the third out of 4 races this season that we have had to have a lobby restart. Really unfortunate, everyone. Do apologise, but that means we get to talk a little bit more heading into this race. Let us know, everyone in the live chat at the minute, who you are supporting this evening. I'm seeing messages from Max Wiesel in the chat, who is on holiday at the moment. I hope you're enjoying it wherever you are. Not racing this evening, and he's got who's he got filling in for him? I saw him earlier on. Who is it filling in that Mercedes? My mind's gone blank.
Joseph, is it?
Joseph Loke, that's it. Yeah, of course, Bahrain Grand Prix victor. I think that Mercedes seat, Nathan, is in safe hands.
Yes, definitely. I think Joseph will be yet again looking for the podium. I don't think Mercedes have actually scored a podium this season, which is a surprise. When you got Max and Floris at the wheel, they're very quick drivers. Max always been at the top of his game. Floris, previous esports drivers. So to be fair, those two, I was saying at the start of the season, should be championship contenders. And to be fair, they haven't had the best run of races. Obviously, Floris has been involved in a lot of incidents. Max got a penalty in Silverstone, so he dropped down the grid. So yeah, they've had their fair share of bad luck. But hopefully, obviously, Max should be back next week. If he is, he can try and then make it podiums only for the rest of the season. Something Fernando Alonso said he'd do, but, well, that never ended well, did it? So sometimes being optimistic isn't the best.
Yeah, but it just seems like in that Mercedes camp so far this season, they're always qualifying really well. At the top of the order. I know that Max Wiesel in round number 1, he had some issues, but he was leading for most of the Bahrain Grand Prix, and then they both, of course, they were like 2 and 3, I think, heading into Britain. So they really just need to sort of find a way to get to the front in the race. You always just see them both dropping back, especially Floris. I mean, Max has been able to find himself at the front of the order in the last few races, but of course strategy really hasn't played into his hands. But in the case of Floris Fires, Nathan, he really has just, as soon as the race starts, he's sunk like a stone.
Yeah, I know Silverstone was, for me, probably the best example for him. He dropped from P3 to P9 in about 10 laps. He really fumbled down the field, which isn't good for Floris at all. And it's got to be evident of some sort of issue with the race pace. The qualifying pace from Floris is top. It was in F3 last season and the last game, along with F2 as well. But the race pace, he's always said to me, he's got issues with it. But this game, it seems like it's really dropped down. Like, his race pace is probably at some points one of the worst 5 in the field. But he's dropping in that quickly. So it needs to figure something out. And you've got to think at least he's got the qualifying pace. If he didn't have any qualifying pace, then he'd be at the bottom. His race pace can drop that much, and sometimes it could be to do with the tyres. It could even be to do with something like his equipment. We don't know, but he's definitely got to try and sort something out. Like Max as well. He had the perfect passage strategy in Bahrain, really didn't pay off. So maybe, you can learn from those races and think, right, if that does this in this track, maybe it's similar here, or you can use other bits of other examples and other leagues as well to try and help your strategy. I think that is the key thing for this game. Strategy matters way more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the last game, it was just hards to mediums or mediums to hards, but now on this new game, we are seeing a variety of strategies that even include the soft compound of tyre. Formerly, that just used to be a tyre that you'd use in the race and then be done with it. And so it is great to see that strategy does mean all that more, but it really does just mean that if you don't have the strat, I mean, it's just another factor that you actually have to worry about. And if you're focusing too much on strategy, maybe you're not focusing on your race pace, and then it could all fall apart. So I think something just needs to change in that Mercedes camp. And I know it's not just those two. It seems like we might be picking on Mercedes, but they are just the example that come to mind. But maybe tonight can be a turning point. It is a new circuit on the F1 23 game, Qatar, here the Losail International Circuit. Nathan, I mean, we've done some social races, and I've driven it a few times with my friend. This track is fun.
Yeah, I've driven it multiple times. It's probably the track I've drove the most in this game, and for me, it is my favourite track on the game. Hands down, it is the best track to drive. So I think, yet again, the drivers, many of them have the same opinions. I know Sergio Sobrino, for example, has been doing 0.6s in qualifying in the practice. So he's one we should be looking out for pole position. Also, his teammate Yannick Schmidt, first time this season, both of the Williams have actually raced together in a session. So this is the first time for Williams to actually get some points on the board. They're currently sitting on 0 points, with none of them scoring together. They've got 2 chances tonight to get points. So I think hopefully for Williams, he said they can get themselves a charge in the championship. I think AlphaTauri is the other only team that haven't scored points. That's from Lukomsky and Zahura. And obviously, Camille's had issues with his internet throughout the whole season. So Shimon has been up and down, but he just hasn't got any points yet. So they need to try and figure something out down at AlphaTauri as well, I think, along with Mercedes and Williams.
Last race, was it Lukomsky that was on pole position after getting disqualified?
He was.
In qualifying?
Yeah. Then he had an issue, didn't he? Dropped all the way down.
He disappeared throughout the race. I don't know. I don't actually remember what happened to him, but it was a really unfortunate situation for him to be in. Hopefully, fingers crossed, goes better for both Williams and AlphaTauri, who have struggled to get off the mark. I know that there's also been some attendance issues with that Williams team. You know, Jack West, so far this season, he's been in the Williams whenever he has raced, and that's been 3 races in a row. And of course, reserves, they don't score points for that for the team they're driving for. So, you know, all those points that have been won in a Williams are just going to waste because Jack West, he's not got the full-time seat.
No, I think maybe throughout the season we'll see someone we'll see someone drop out a seat and give Jack a seat. I know that Connor said something like some people need to start performing a bit better. So if that hadn't happened, maybe Jack gets a seat. Maybe we get some people from F3 and F4 move up to F2, because we've seen that before. I know last season in F2, Jen Halliday went from F4 to F2 after 2 race. I think it was after 2 races or 1 race. So, you know, there is people probably in those teams who haven't seen too much that might also get that chance, given that some people don't score points and continue to not score points, because there's many people, surprisingly, I think it's about 8 or 9 drivers who haven't scored 1 point this season, which is a surprise, because a lot of these drivers you think, should get, you know, a decent haul of points. Because everyone in here, you look at them and they all should fit here in F2. They all deserve it. So some of them just might not have the luck. Obviously, some of them might be doing other commitments as well, so they might not have time to practice. There's lots of different things coming to factor, but still, if you want to be at the top, you've got to perform, you've got to practice for it.
Yeah, this is, you know, this is just one step down from F1 esports, essentially, in league racing. So you have to be on your A game all the time, and there are plenty of drivers who are going to be able to put the work in and overtake you in lower divisions. And if you're not willing to commit and you know, and practice hard enough to be better, or maybe you just, I mean, this sounds horrible to say, but if they are just simply better than you, they deserve to be in that F2 seat. So I think a lot of drivers at the moment, they really do need to step up and actually start performing. You know, issues aside, I mean, they do happen, but when they don't, you should be fighting in the points and actually scoring and getting on the board at least at some point so far this season, because it is round number 4. We've been to a variety of circuits, Nathan, and so far we've just got 2 guys running away with it.
Yeah, I think Jack, he's got 1 podium from every position. I think he's scored 3rd, 1st, 2nd, or 2nd, 3rd, 1st, something like that. So he's got every podium he can. He's got to just keep that up. Mirko as well has had his unluckiness mainly in qualifying. You could see, you know, I think there's been a couple of races where he started 5th and 6th, but still got himself 2nd and 1st in the races. So obviously race pace is a good thing for Mirko. Also just keeping himself calm throughout the race and just getting himself through helps definitely. As Joost Noordijk is going to be the first one to set an lap as he heads down in towards that first corner.
We'll see what he can do then as we'll ride on board with the Haas driver, Joost Noordijk. His teammate absent this evening as he heads in towards turn 1. It's a fast right-hander. You really do want to get on the throttle as early as possible. Drift over to the right-hand side, then cut back towards the left to get that swooping line in towards turn 2. A little bit of a kink into turn 3 when you got your first proper braking zone into 4. But really, it isn't all that much because you're taking it in 6th gear. Slow it down a little bit, lift off through turn 5, and then heavy braking down into 3rd for this next left-hander short shift to get as much traction as possible off the exit. Be careful of any traffic in your way. Joost Noordijk so far on this lap, he's been very committed as he takes to all the curbs on every exit, really maximising his track usage now into that 2nd sector. He's looking good so far.
He is, yeah. I'm surprised to see him go down to 3rd in the M3 turn 7, but he's kept it through and he's still heading down now towards this flat out section. You can take this section without having to lift off or anything, just flat through in towards turns 12, 13 and 14, but it's very easy to mess up, especially on the exit of turn 14 here. You can get yourselves a track limit violation. Then into this corner you want to shift down to 6, keep it full throttle as you come through, bit of rotation, be careful not to go wide. Yost makes it through there very nicely. Now into the final corner at turn 16, down to 4th gear, back onto 5th on the exit, then just ride the curb as you head back towards the line. Should be a decent time for Yost. There was a few messy bits in that lap, but he obviously got more time to improve. He's still got 40 minutes after the session. In the first lap time is a 20.176. Very nice there. As Jack Schmidt goes quicker with a 20.101, and still there's a few more people to come across the line. Jack West is heading through into the final sector.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if we can actually spectate. I think we should watch the championship leader. Currently purple in Sector 2. We'll ride on board with the Red Bull driver who goes maximum commitment in towards this next left-hander. The final turn is up next. We have to ride the inside. It's a really long corner. There's a lot of them around this track. Use a little bit of curb off the exit, then open up the DRS to get that run down on towards that start-finish line. It's a lot further down the pit straight than you would normally expect, but towards the line, that is the first 19 of the day. 1 minute 19.976 from Jack West. A very nice time indeed. Up next will be Harvey Cohen towards the line. We'll see what he can do in his McLaren. He's had a tough start to this season so far, but towards the line it is P4 for him. He's got ahead of a few drivers so far in this session. It's not a bad start by any means, but I definitely think you want to be higher up the order as Rishan Jacobs goes into 6th. I believe Timo Zelenkovic has put himself into 8th. Up next is Floris Vires. We know how fast he is in quali trim, and unfortunately he's not got himself onto that front row for the time being. Now relegated onto row number 3 because Jan Halliday has come towards the line with a 1 minute 20.199 as he gets himself into P4. But I'm noticing, Nathan, over half of this grid exactly, yet to set lap times. A lot of drivers struggling with track limits.
Well, Mirko's coming through into the final corner now to set his lap time, but then apart from that, everyone else has had issues either from going off the track and getting track limits or just spinning or having some sort of issue. So that's a very big surprise, and it's not good for anyone in the race. Mirko comes up to the line, what will he be? P3 with a 0.125. But I think the thing is, for example, with Timo Zelenkovic, he's about 4/10 off of Jack West nearly. And because he's just set a time, he's still sitting higher than he should be down at the back. So, you know, people need to get a lap time, even if it's 3/10 slower. If you're Togo Hardy and you do a 22, you'll be up in 12th. Like, people need to get themselves in better form and not push too hard on the first lap. It's the first lap of the session. You don't need to push hell to that at all. Just coast it to the end. It might be 2 or 3 tenths off what you normally do, but that's good. At least you're getting yourself a lap time on the board. You can see the likes of Sergio, Yona, Duncan, Tycho, Tamash, all drivers that you think should be in that top 10 easily are now sitting in the bottom 10 because they just haven't had they haven't been able to get a lap time on the board. So a lot of these drivers are going to be careful as well, because when you've got 10 minutes left of the session nearly, you're going to be wanting to push more and more as every lap you go on. If you keep pushing harder and harder, you might not even get a lap time on the board, so you'll be starting dead last.
Yeah, if you don't get those first few runs in, then the pressure really does start to build, and all of a sudden you've got 3 minutes left to go. You're coming to start your final lap and you've not even got a time on the board, and that is when mistakes are made, when you are under pressure. So you know, it is a long session. You can get about 3 runs in if you come out straight away. You get 3 runs in, you have the tyres for it as well. So I wouldn't be too, you know, I don't think it's a bad idea to hold off ever so slightly just to get a time on the board, because he could be ahead of some guys who are taking it completely wrong in this session. As Duncan Hoffman heads in towards turn number 1, we'll see if he's able to keep this lap clean as he heads into that first sector.
Yeah, the only driver at the moment to be actually on an actual lap time. Currently he hasn't got a lap time, so he needs to take it a bit more calm and collected through this lap, as you can see coming through out of turn 3, now towards turns 4 and 5. And this is actually a section of the track where people can tend to take off their hot lap ERS mode, because sometimes you can't actually get to the end without your deploy being all used. So some people normally around this part of the track turn it off for a moment just so it doesn't use it all, and then you can turn it back on normally on the exit, the hairpin as he comes through into turn 7. Currently with the purple first sector for Duncan Hoffland as he heads now in towards turn 8, just right on the curve as you come into turn 9. You want to use, this track is one of them where you need to use all the curb you can. Every corner, use as much curve as you can. There he misses the apex at turn 10, so that's going to lose him sometimes. He comes through now in towards this flat out section, turns 12 to 14. Just keep it flat through it here in 7th gear. Just obviously you take the inside line on the curb so you can get a nice exit. Don't go wide, otherwise that is your lap time done for. And then into towards turn 15, there's someone ahead. Hopefully they move out the way, which they do. Just keep it in 6th gear, ride it through, and he goes wide, and that's his time invalidated again. So Duncan, yet again, he's not got a lap time, and at this point, he's just going to drop further and further down. He needs to have one more lap. Well, if he's only got 3 tyre sets, he's got one more, and that's it. So this could be, this isn't ideal at all for is it for Duncan. He's got pretty much one more chance.
He looked quick as well. He was purple in sector 1 and 2, and unfortunately that invalidation right in the final sector really did just throw it all down the toilet. And Ray Tarabuka was able to get his lap done. He puts himself into P4 with a 1 minute 20.133 as he almost hits the Alfa Romeo there of, I believe, that's either Tycho Hardy or it's Rishan Jacobs. I mean, it's a car park down in that first sector. I mean, if they're not careful, if they're staying in front of each other, someone's going to get a penalty, and they've been told time and time again not to block each other on their outlaps because it's going to end up with someone getting a grid penalty. But it seems like we're all okay at the moment. So far though, Joseph Loke in that second sector up by 2/10 already on his lap, Nathan.
That was the first sector. He did a great first sector as he comes down in towards, at the moment this is turn 10, and he obviously ride all the curves. He comes through in towards this yet again flat out section. We'll see what he can do in the second sector. He's up by 2.5 nearly, so he's looking at the moment good enough for P2 if he can keep it through this section. Obviously many people mess up here in turn 15. He comes into here, then to the gear, taking that inside line, and he goes through. Very nice for Joseph Loke. Now he's got the final corner just to conquer. As you brake just after the 50 metre ball, keep it to the inside line, keep it in gear 5 there for Joseph. He should come out on the exit, back of the pair, DRS open, ERS being used. As you head to the line, what time would it be for Joseph Loke? Can he get himself on the throttle? Can he even get himself quickest? He goes quickest with a .950. Very nice there from Jack West. We've still got many people coming on a lap time. Janik Schmidt is sitting in 3rd. He's currently coming in towards turn 6.
Yannick Schmidt is in that second sector. I believe there's a few guys just ahead of him on track. Jack West is behind Yannick, but he is up by 2. Well, he's purple in that second sector, and that means he is going to be quicker than Joseph Loke at the moment. I think we should follow along with Jack West, our current championship leader, by 5 points ahead of Mirko Suriano. Last week, of course, Suriano had a bit of a down week in qualifying. He's towards the end of the top 10, so it's good to see him up in the upper echelons of the grid. Jack West, he's always been really quick here in quali trim, and he's up by just over 1/10 of a second as he's now flat out in the final sector, right on board with the Red Bull driver. He's got a McLaren in the way of him. Luckily got out of the way. We've seen some drama last night in PSGL PC F1 with qualifying, blocking and such. Seems like everyone has been able to avoid those such issues this evening so far. Jack West then out of the final corner, heading down in towards the start-finish line to come across the line. What is it going to be for him? He improves by 1/10 and a quarter, 1 minute 19.851. Very nice time on the board for Jack West.
Yeah, and Duncan Hoffland getting ready to, I believe, begin his lap time. He just let one of the Hassies through. That was Matthew Aldap. And now Duncan going to be beginning another lap. This is probably one of his only left laps. I think he's got 3 sets of tyres, probably soft. Maybe an extra set, I'm not sure. So he's got limited time now as he comes through. Then to turn 1, Matthew Aldap, P5. Now that is a first time we've seen Matthew, even I think in the top 10 in qualifying. So that is very nice for him to be up there in 5th with a 1-2-0. We'll keep on board with Duncan Hoffland as he heads through. Out of turn 2, now in towards turn 3, bit of a kink to the right as you now head down in towards turn 4. That I believe was the team as Zalenkiewicz popping himself into the top 8. Jona Martins into 3rd with a .959. Tamas Gals into 4th with a .024. And the lap times are flying. Dave Fly Swise now into P4 with a .966. Realistically, it's looking like how it is in wet. The last person to go over is setting the quickest time.
I think Rishan Jacobs just come, and it's Tycho Hardy come across the line to go P5. Kimil Stakura is up next, and he puts himself into P7. I believe Joost Noordijk is up next in the hat. He puts himself onto that 3rd row of the grid in P5. Very nice so far from him. What about Mirko Suriano up by just over 2/10 of a second? Gets himself onto the front row of the grid. And look at that. 5 points in the championship. 5,000 between Jack West and Mirko Suriano. Once again, though, Jack West getting the better of Mirko as I believe Duncan Hoffland is coming. That's actually Jan Halliday to the line. We'll watch Duncan Hoffland, though, on his lap. He seems to be very quick thus far, and I think he got a very nice slipstream from Matthew Alder heading into that first corner at the beginning of his lap. We'll see how it's impacted him on this run as Duncan Hoffland comes to the line. It's 1 minute 20.004, and look at how many drivers are look how close this session is. I mean, I've just noticed it now. There's minuscule gaps at the moment. How many drivers, Nathan, on a 19.9 or 20.0?
Yeah, well, there's P1 down to P16 is 3/10. P2 down to about P10 is within just over a tenth and a half. It is very close, and what you've got there is it Joost down to Camille, all separated by 30,000ths of a second. That's 5 drivers. It is insane at the moment. So I think coming into the end of the session, these times are going to improve even more. So we're going to see even more closer times at the grid. I think at the moment, Sergio Sobrino is the only one on a lap time. He's heading down into turn 6 currently in the Williams, the only one not to set a time yet in this session. I said he'd be one looking for pole. Well, I think I've cursed that one heavily. As he comes down now into turn 7, full flat through there, as you come through into turn 8, then turn 9 to the right. Then you come down to this bit of a braking zone at turn 10 down to 4th gear. Keep it to the inside line, ride the curve on the exit. Try not to invalidate. Very nice there for Sergio. We'll see what he can do. Is it purple in that middle sector? Is it even green? It's a 52.867. I don't know how good that is, but he's still keeping it flat on this lap, so it must be decent at least for Sergio as he comes down now. Oh, and he goes wide and he invalidated again. So that could be it done for Sergio. Just a bit too much power into turn 14. Little bit too less turning, and it's ruined his qualifying pretty much now. And Andrei Tarabukin is on a lap with his invalidated, so that's his run done. So yeah, at the moment we've got everyone with a lap time apart from Sergio, as Andrei now heads back into the pits, and I believe he was up as well on his lap time.
I think, well, Sergio's got time certainly to go for another one. I think he also might have the tyres for it too. So fingers crossed for Sergio Sobrino. You said how coming into this race he was very quick around this circuit. So hopefully that is the case. He could be another name to put in the hat of potential winners in this race. I can't call it at all thus far because I'll put the gaps to the leader on your screens. I mean, 5 thousandths between Jack West and Mirko Soriano in P1 and P2. That's as close as they've got all season long thus far. Of course, if you remember in Brazil, I think it was 18 thousandths of a second at the line between the pair of them, and now it is 5 thousandths of a second around 1 lap here. So these two incredibly hotly contested at the moment. We're looking at Flores Vires. He's the first driver to head out on circuit, and I just happen to be spectating him, so very nice indeed.
Same.
Wow. Wow, I mean, fair play there. Sorry, everyone. I'm just trying to get the little spectator menu off my screen. It's gone now. But yeah, Flores Vires first one out on circuit. Then Rishan Jacobs in behind him. Sergio Sobrino comes into the pit lane instantly, comes back out on track, and everyone is following suit. We are about to have what Chris Buxton likes to call the Banzai phase in qualifying, with just under 3 minutes left to go. All 20 drivers, I believe, are going to be coming out on track.
Yeah, and McLaren need to do something. They're sitting 17th and 19th, so they need to figure out what they're doing wrong, especially Leden Rosenberg. He's sitting 4.5 tenths off Jack West. So he's got to try and pull something out the bag on the final lap. But the issue is, when you're sitting that far off, or if you're Sergio Sobrino at this instance, it's like, well, do you push or do you not? Because if you don't push, you're going to not improve. But if you do push, you're going to end up risking your lap time being invalidated. So there's a lot of risk for a lot of drivers, especially around this track. I think this is probably one of the harshest tracks for track limits, along with the tracks such as Austria and Bahrain at some instance. I think it is a very difficult track when it comes to that instance, because it's a fact that there's a lot of bumps around the track. I think it's obviously been a new one. I think the game, they did some special things to the surface, so it's a bit more realistic. There's a lot more bumps, so it can throw you around a bit, and that can, one little bump can send you, really, really wide, and then it can ruin your lap time. If you go over the line, if you go over the track limit line by 1 millimeter, that is you're done, and that is sometimes how much it comes to down into lap times, to track distance. It is all down to that millimeter of what you've got to do to get it right, and what you've got to do to make it pay off.
Absolutely, and just before Flores Vires he gets his lap underway, Nathan, who's your pole sitter?
I'm going to say Josie Floke. I think he's done a great job in qualifying. He's also one of the, I'd say, the most experienced drivers here as well. So yeah, Josie for pole. What about you, Dan?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I'll go with Jack West just to be boring. Heading in towards then turn number 1 for Flores Fires on his final run in qualifying. He's got Sergio Sobrino just behind him. If Flores messes up, he'll be the next one. And we're going to have a lobby restart because Jack West has got that 5-place grid penalty for illegal blocking. Here we are then watching Flores Fires in towards that first sector split where you can turn off the battery around this part of the circuit. Is now in towards that first sector split. He's up by just about half a tenth of a second. It's looking decent so far for Flores Fires off of the exit of that heavy traction zone of turn number 6, I believe that is, in towards this twisty second sector where you're really fighting against the car to get it turned in. You're using all the track possible, darting over to the right hand side to get the widest line in towards this next left, then foot flat to the floor as you take towards that third sector. We'll see what Flores Fires' improvement is at the moment. He's up by over a tenth of a second, and I believe purple in sector 2 as he's now completely flat in towards sector 3. Be careful not to run too wide through here. You can invalidate your lap very easily. Maximum commitment in towards the penultimate corner. Flores Fires look very nice, very tidy on this lap. He's just got one more corner to go until it's made as the clock has struck 0. No new laps can be started. I believe the last driver out on track is Duncan Hoffland then. Flores Fires towards the line. Will it be on provisional pole? Indeed he will. He goes to the top of the order ahead of Jack West. Sergio Sobrino finally converts a lap. He gets himself onto that second row of the grid. Rishan Jacobs will be up next then, as I believe one of the Ferraris, that would be Jono Martins, who's going slow towards the line. We will then watch Joost Noordijk as I try to find him. Actually, we'll have a look at his teammate Matthew Alder. Some more drivers coming towards the line. Tamas Gallard put himself into P5. Where is Jack West at the minute? He's in that final sector. We'll watch him as he heads through the final few corners. He's got Mirko Soriano just behind him at the minute. Yannick Schmidt has come to the line. Gamel Sakura goes on pole position for the time being. There's still plenty of cars behind him. His teammate Shimon Lakomsky is about to come to the line. He puts himself in P7. Then Jack West to the line with a 1 minute 19.768. Puts himself on pole position. But what about Mirko Soriano? Invalidation for the Italian in the Ferrari. He's unfortunately invalidated that lap somewhere along the road. That time would have been good enough to put himself on the front row, as that is heartbreak for Mirko Soriano. A few more drivers coming up towards the line. I believe Jan Haladej, the last one up then, and he is actually invalidated on his attempt. So big drama for Mirko Soriano, but it is Jack West on pole position here.
Yeah, that was a great lap from Jack. It was only, I think, was it about a 10? I think that was an improvement of 0.76 mental time. And Jack, he has looked strong throughout the whole session. I said Joseph would take pole, but he had an issue and he invalidated when he was up in the first sector as well. So he's obviously now down in 10th, and that is sometimes what can happen. You can be in 3rd, you invalidate one lap, you're down to 10th. You can lose 7, 8, 9 positions as well. Jono Martins, I'm not sure what happened to him. I think he must have had an issue in the final corner because he was let off all down the straight. And yeah, but a great qualifying session with Legend Rosenberg, not improving, and he starts last with a 5.5 tenth gaps of P1.
Yeah, but look at how close this grid is. The top 5 not even separated by a tenth of a second. Jack West on pole position with Camille Sakura in P2. P3 is Flores Fires, and then Mirko Soriano with his invalidation sits in P4. P5 for Duncan Hoffland. Sobrino in 6th. 7th is Gao. Lakomsky in 8th. 9th. Harvey Cohen and Joseph Loke rounding out that top 10. You can see the rest of the grid on your screen as we're about to get ready to head into this race. I'll quickly bring us back to the intermission scene to really just take in that qualifying session. But Nathan has got all the makings to be an absolutely fantastic race.
Definitely. I think the biggest surprise for me was Kamil Sasha on the front row. He's not had his best share look at all with just pace and also with the internet connection. But starting P2 for him, only being 30 thousandths off pole, that is a very good thing for him indeed. So hopefully try and get himself a podium and get himself some good points for AlphaTauri. Same as Sergio, he's in P6. He needs to work his way through the field as well to try and get Williams some very decent points. I think Yannick was just outside the top 10, so he's also got a lot of work to do. It's his first race here, actually. He's had do not starts for every race so far, apart from here today. So he's got to get something done. And you can see everyone's leaving the session because we have to have a restart because Jack West, the only one to get a penalty. So now I think we've had every single race this season with a restart, which is not good at all.
I wonder when that's going to get patched because they're not blocking each other
Soon,
on out laps. Well, it's always soon, but we never actually get a confirmed date. I mean, it is just tiring at this point to have to restart every single session because then we're going to have to talk a load of rubbish because there's only so much really you can talk about here. But yeah, just heading into this one, it is incredibly close throughout the entirety of this grid. And with it being a new circuit on the F1 23 game, it means it's going to be very volatile. A lot of guys probably going to be making a few mistakes, Nathan. It's got the makings to be a bit of a chaotic one. I mean, we've seen so far this season, driving standards haven't been at their best, but I'm just really hoping tonight they can keep it clean.
Yeah, definitely. I think the standards around here, if they keep the way they are, there'll be a few people being punted off. There'll be a few penalties being given, but genuinely, I think it's going to be a great race. The pace is looking good from a lot of drivers, very close between each other. I think it was 2 tenths separating like the top 15. So everyone's going to be so close on pace. Strategy, I think, is going to be the main thing tonight. I think the undercuts come into play, the overcuts as well, if you can push yourself through the field. Obviously, safety cars as well, they can come into play. So I think there's a lot of things that come through, but strategy, I think, for many drivers is the key. I think for lots of Legend who's 5 tenths off, I think it's his biggest concern, but I think for many of the people in that top 10, it is all about strategy. If you can get the strategy right, you could be 7 positions up by the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you haven't got the pace around here, you can rely on that strategy and sort of outsmarting your rivals. So it is not over for drivers at the back of the grid, which I do really love about this F1 23 game, is that if you don't qualify well and if you don't have the pace, that difference in the strategy where some guys could slip up who are way up the order, you could outsmart them and potentially take their position into the race. I mean, it happens in real life Formula 1. We see Ferrari, they've got a fast car, but they lose all the places imaginable just because they can't get their strategy right. Someone could do that in the top 10 this evening. I'm not hoping it happens for anyone, but I think, fingers crossed, for the sake of those guys at the back of the order, it does happen, and it very much can. So, yeah, I mean, it is just all a big question mark heading into this race. I mean, it's the first time, I think, these PC F2 drivers have competitively raced around this circuit. We've seen plenty of social races around this circuit. Of course, everyone wants to try out the new track, but heading into this race, no one really has got that competitive edge around this circuit. So I think, Nathan, it is definitely going to be an unpredictable one.
Well, I think you can't predict anything, even now, on any circuit you can't, but here, there's even less prediction, because we've got no previous results to look at, we've got no... I don't think any of these drivers, apart from maybe 1 or 2 races in F1 last night, and WR, they haven't had their Qatar race till next week. So, yeah, there's nothing to go off at all. So, qualifying, that's the best we've got, and it is the fact that Jack West is looking quickest, but Camille as well, sitting right behind. There's no reason why he can't try and take the victory as well. And obviously, you look all the way down to P10, all separated by a 10th. Yeah, it's going to be a close one, and I think the podium prediction, normally I have one, but today I literally don't. I can't call anything. No. And I don't want to curse anyone either.
No, I don't know if I want to dabble in that, but I think maybe at some point we're going to have to just have a guess. I once again forgot to join the lobby and press spectate, so thank you to Yona for reminding me about that. We should have a little bit of time though for I believe one of the Alpine drivers is yet to join. It's Timur Zelenkovic yet to join this session, but once he gets in there, he's now in his car actually. He should Yona Martin should get the grid sorted out, and then we can get ready to head into this race. Nathan, do you remember how many laps this race is? I think it's 29.
29.
Oh, I banged it because I've not actually been able to do a complete race around here. I mean, it restarted itself on lap number 9. If you remember watching that. It was
yeah.
yeah. But, I'm really
it did it twice. I'm
Twice.
sure it did till lap 5, and then it did it again at lap 9.
Something like that. I mean, I don't know. It was awful, but I think those issues have fingers crossed they should be patched. I mean, I don't know what. I've never had it before, never had it after, so it's just maybe a blip in the lobby or something. But yeah, we'll move on from the issues of this game, and I guess I don't really know what else we could talk about, Nathan. Let's talk to someone in the live chat. Whoever's watching at the minute, we have 95 viewers currently. Let us know who you are supporting this evening and who you think is going to be taking victory. And I think, Nathan, now is the time we're going to have to face our fears and actually make a prediction here.
Well, I kind of forgot the grid, to be fair. Jack West, pole, I think he'll get a podium, maybe P2. I think someone else will take a victory. I'm going to go with... I'm gonna say Mirko. I'm gonna say Mirko will get pole. I mean, I'll get the victory because he's been looking great in race pace. So I'm gonna say Mirko, Jack, and then to support him, Camille in third. I think that's fair. So Mirko, Jack, Camille.
I don't know if I can predict the podium, but I am going to say from 10th on the grid, Joseph Loke is going to take victory this evening. And that's for two reasons, because of course we're in a very similar country to Bahrain. I mean, they're like right next to each other, I think, pretty much, in the Middle East, just off of Saudi Arabia, I believe. So it's a very similar circuit, and it just kind of looks the same. It's a night race as well in the desert. And that win in Bahrain, I believe he was off the pace or something. He might have been 11th or something there. No, around that sort of mid-pack area, which is exactly where he is this evening. So I'm going to say that Joseph Loke is going to take victory. Michael Marlowe is, I was going to say he's agreeing with me, but he's actually going with Jack West for the victory, and then Joseph Loke on the podium. PK says Joseph Loke on the podium, and then Tator says I'm supporting Bart. I'm not sure who Bart is, but I'm
me.
Bart Simpson, is he racing this evening? I'm not too sure. You're gonna have to explain that one to me if it's some sort of inside joke.
Oh, my bad. Hoffman podium, or maybe one of the two. Let's hope it was maybe, because Hoffman and Loke sound very different. So if that's a spelling mistake, that's But yeah, so Hoffman podium says PK. Yeah, I think anything's possible. I think our predictions somehow will end up being wrong, and it will be someone who started last gets the win. Yeah. So yeah, but we get started very shortly, and hopefully there's no restarts on the race, and we can actually get a clean start off the line. And hopefully everyone's grid is correct as well, everyone's grid position.
Oh yeah, should be. I mean, Joseph Loke, Jona Martins is he's an expert in this field. He's been a part of the league racing community forever at this point. So I think he knows his way around the hosting life. But just to be safe, I'm going to bring us over now to the game scene, just so we don't miss the start, because now we don't get the countdown, and of course we don't have the formation lap, because it brings a lot of issues. So we are going to get ready to head straight into this one. You can see everyone is loading in already, very ambitious, very eager to get going. It is going to be Jack West on pole position, starting alongside him Kamil Stachura. That is a very surprising position, I think, to be in. I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's up there.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the results, I think, from something like F8 or F9, someone put in the PSGL general chat. Everyone had penalties apart from one. There was a 3 second 3, 6 seconds, 6 seconds, 3, 3, 12, 21, 18, 34, 18, 6, 21. Well, for the sake of the drivers, it's not good, and for us with the mathematics, let's hope that doesn't happen.
I want a word with whoever got 34 seconds of penalties, because I didn't even know that was possible. I thought it was
someone called Rumblebee 08.
Oh my gosh! Well, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. We should be at a level that we're not gonna have penalties like that, but I definitely think that a few drivers are gonna get some. We should be getting ready to head into this race. It's gonna be 29 laps around this new Qatar circuit. It's gonna be an incredible run here this evening. We've got 20 drivers eager to get going. We saw in qualifying how close it was, and Nathan at this point just got to keep waiting.
Yeah, and hopefully we get underway shortly. It'll catch us off guard. Even though we know it's coming, it'll still catch us off guard. And
need the countdown back.
Yeah, just bring the count.
There we go. Here we are then, getting ready for the beginning of this race. Round number 4 here in PSGL PC F2 is underway. We are green here in Qatar, and it looks to be a good getaway for Jack West. They head in towards turn number 1. Kamil Stachura, though, attacking on the inside line, and now Flores Fires looking to go the long way around there. 3 wide in towards turn number 1, but it is Kamil Stachura getting ahead in towards turn number 2, and 3. Mirko Soriano fighting it out with Flores Fires. They head in towards that first sector. Flores has got the better of the Ferrari so far this evening. Tamas Gao ahead of now Szymon Lekomski as they file in towards this next double right-hander. It's been a perfect start for Kamil Stachura. It looked like Jack West had the better launch off the line, but it seemed like Kamil, he just got the jump on him in towards turn 1, wasted no time to get himself into the lead of this race.
Yeah, and everyone... Oh, and that's a big collision. That's Jona Martins, and someone's been dropped down. Jona went completely off track. Serious Breno fighting with Szymon Lekomski as well for P6. Szymon there trying to go on the outside at turn 8, but everyone's on the hard tyres. Everyone, which is a surprise. I thought we'd see a few mediums, but no, everyone thinking the hard to soft or hard to medium strategy is the way to go. Tycho Hardy dropping down a few positions, even he's having a battle with Matthew Alder, and that's also Legend Rosenberg in 16th. Matthew there being squoze, had to back off. Yannick Schmidt being overtaken by Timmy Zalenki, which is well down in 15th position. So lots of first lap changes, and Joseph Floke surprisingly hasn't made any positions at all, and I think Tamas Gal's lost one. Many people have pretty much stayed the same apart from Camel, who got ahead of Jack into turn 1. Great move by him as well, and now he's probably just going to try and stick that P1 or at least a P2, as that's Joost and Tycho into the pit lane, which is probably damage.
Yep, double Dutch with damage then. Joost Noordijk going to retire straight away in the pit lane. It's been a dire start to the season for the Dutchman. Hopefully in the next few rounds he should get himself back on his feet, but in now on towards lap number 2, hopefully things should calm down ever so slightly. We're still on lap number 1. Mirko Soriano's doing a fantastic job of sticking a fight to Floris Vyers, but he just wasn't able to make that move stick. He is getting closer though on this second run. Szymon Konski as well getting close to the back of Sergio Zabrino. Of course, we're yet to see that DRS be enabled, so on the next lap it is only one, to be fair though, in towards that first corner, so it's not all that effective around here, but I think it is going to be difficult in these second and third sector, Nathan, to actually make the moves done.
It is, yeah. You can see a lot of people catching up, like Richard Jacobs within 2/10 of Yona, but you just can't make a move around here. That is the main issue, and also with the DRS not being available yet, that also puts you at a disadvantage. But it will be available next lap, and hopefully we might see a few changes near the top of the order, and also down near the bottom of the order is also Joseph Floke going on the back of Harvey Cohen. This is for P9 and P10. Joseph is, well, Dan's prediction to win at the moment. He's sitting down 9 places off it, so he's got some work to do if he wants to match that. And that was also Harvey Cohen going very wide down at turn 59, and I have an inkling that he kept off track, so it doesn't actually register as an off track violation. It does that sometimes. If you keep off track long enough, it just ignores that you're off track. So clever there from Harvey. As Camel takes the fastest step with a 24.7 as we head back down into turn 1 yet again, and Richard Jacobs still in the back of Fiona Martins, but can't get himself through, and that was also Joseph Floke going a little bit deep there at turn 1, so he's lost about a 1/10 of a second time there to the back of Harvey Cohen. And then apart from that, there's nothing much really going on. Obviously Tiger Hardy pitted, he's 32 seconds back, so for now he's pretty much out of it, but he's obviously got a chance of his safety cars to get himself back through, and with all the chaos we've had so far, I think I think there's definitely a possible chance of a safety car. I think it's more likely than not at this point.
Here's Joseph Floke looking to the outside of Harvey Cohen in towards turn number 6. He wasn't able to make the move mid-corner, but off the exit he's been able to get a run on the McLaren. He darts towards the inside line for the next right-hander. A little bit of a scrape in the tyres between the pair of them, but Joseph Floke really committing to this overtake off the inside then for the next corner. Harvey Cohen sticking it around the outside, doing an expert job of defending. Now Jonah Martins in behind looking to get involved in this scrap as they head towards the final sector, where it's completely flat through here. We're not going to see any lurching dive bomb moves like we saw from Joseph Floke just now. We know he races very aggressively, and that is just an example of it there. He wasn't able to find the move this time by on Harvey Cohen, but he knows, Nathan, that he is quicker than Harvey, and in the next coming laps he should be all over the back of that McLaren.
Yeah, he's going to have to push hard, and you can see there Harvey's defence was great. He defended it very well to the back of Joseph, and also Jonah Martins is going to start gaining on the back of Joseph as well if Joseph doesn't sort himself and get himself ahead of Harvey. And Rishon is also again on the back of Jonah as we head down into turn 1 yet again, and that was also, I think, Harvey getting very close to the back of Tamas Gal. So everyone all looking to have possibilities to make overtakes on each other, but no one can make it work just yet. And yeah, I think it's with the fact everyone's on the hards, we get to a bit of a die point of the race, which is unfortunate. But once the pit stops come, we've obviously got mediums and, well, this game, softs actually play part in the race. So we could see some people going long to go into a set of softs, but I think most people will probably go into a set of mediums, play it safe and not run too much risk, as that was Tycho Hardy taking the fastest step there on lap 4. And also I know that Tycho and Legend work together a lot, so also could be a good chance for Legend to get a bit of data off his teammate to say, right, you know, these tyres are lasting for 10 laps before they drop off, or they'll last for 5 laps before they drop off. That could definitely help him, Legend, when he's, you know, for choosing when to pit. And if there isn't much difference between the mediums and softs, maybe he takes a set of softs. You know, there's different things that can happen in this race, of course, as Harvey Cohen right on the back of Tamas as we're coming to turn 15. That is very close, about just over a 10th between those two as they're headed in towards turn 14. And still, I'm surprised we haven't had a switch for the lead. Normally you see 1 or 2 switches for the lead and then it dies down. And so far, Jack hasn't really made any charge for the lead at all. He's just stuck behind Camille. And Floris being 5 tenths back, he's keeping himself in the top 3, which is what he needs to do.
I think Jack West just happy to sit in the wheel tracks of Camel Stasherer just so he can save all of the resources. This is a very difficult circuit to recharge the battery to use up the ERS because there's only really one heavy braking zone around this circuit. Yannick Schmidt and Legend Rosenberg swap positions heading in towards turn number 2, I believe that was, and Yannick has been able to get ahead of Legend there. The German gets by on the Dutchman in that first sector as we continue to watch this sort of train at the front of the order. We saw Harvey Cohen look towards the inside line of turn number 1, but he wasn't able to really close that gap to the back of the Red Bull. That is just because they are all in that DRS train, and now I think Harvey's got to look in his rear view mirrors because he's got Joseph Loke for company, and we'll see what he can do then as they fly in the second sector where Joseph seems to be quicker than the McLaren driver off the exit. Really commit. Well, he's almost sent himself into a spin. A massive tank slapper for Joseph Loke. He's almost spun the car, getting too ambitious on the throttle, but he's been able to keep his foot in there, and he's actually still gaining on Harvey Cohen in this third sector. Will he go for the move potentially towards turn number 1? Look at his run off the exit of the penultimate corner, now in towards, I believe, it's turn number 15 or something. He's right on the rear of the McLaren, then off the exit. As he's going to use the battery heading in towards turn number 1? It doesn't look like it. Harvey Cohen's going to defend ever so slightly to the inside line, but after all of that, Joseph Loke still not able to get by on the McLaren.
Yeah, great work from Harvey, as that was also Andres Harvey can get yourself ahead of Richard Jacobs. But yeah, Harvey played it clever of backing off in the final corner, because then once you lose that momentum, he also loses Joseph's momentum, so then Joseph doesn't have that advantage into turn 1. So that works well for Harvey. He kept himself ahead, and he's still keeping himself ahead. He's doing a great job at this defensive strategy as Rishan got overtaken by Andre, but it's right on the rear of him still as we come through. In this first section to turn 6, there was a couple of overtakes down towards this section further back. I think it was Matthew Walder and Legend Rosenberg having a bit of a battle down here last lap, but they sorted each other out, and they're now sitting 16th and 17th. And then Tycho Hardy slowly gaining on the field, but those mediums he's on, I don't have much of an advantage compared to the others. Obviously, he's not got no DRS, so that could also be why. But yeah, you'd expect him to gain a few more seconds than that within the next 4 laps. As Flores Myers, he's sitting in the back of Jack West. Obviously, if you don't know, Flores has many issues in Silverstone, Bahrain, and the first race at Brazil. I think Brazil he had a bit of contact. Bahrain he had a bit of contact, and then Silverstone he dropped through the field within about 10 laps. He was down from 3rd into about 9th. But today he's keeping himself firmly on the back of Jack West, and also keeping himself firmly ahead of Mirko Soriano. So he hopefully could be trying to take a podium and the first for the deservedly Mercedes team. And Duncan Hofland, he's looking for a move on Mirko Soriano down to turn 1. Way better exit there for Duncan. Mirko must have made a mistake as Duncan Hofland pops himself into the top 4 ahead of the championship protagonist of Mirko.
Nice move then for Duncan Hofland, gets himself by on Mirko Soriano. Soriano did try and go for the move off the exit of turn number 1 and actually has a half look towards the inside of turn number 2. Now into this first sector, will Soriano potentially try and go for the move as they head in towards turns number 4 and 5? This double right-hander, he's right on the back of the Aston Martin, and he's got Sergio Sobrino for company as well. So it seems like on lap number 7 they're getting a little bit racy in the upper echelons of this grid. I believe it's going to calm down ever so slightly at the minute though, but Mirko Soriano is not happy that he's lost that position to Duncan Hofland. Having a look at ERS situations, Hofland didn't even need to use that much. He's got 84% still in the battery. Mirko Soriano, maybe he wasn't too bothered with defending that because he's got 100% in the back of that Ferrari. I'm not too sure what's going on there for him, but yeah, Duncan Hofland now into that P4 position on the back of Flores Myers, who's challenging to the rear of Jack West. Will we see a change of guard for P2? We'll have to wait and see in the next few laps, but so far, looks like Flores Myers, he's got pace around here.
Well, penalties are on the way, I think, soon, because I'm just looking at the race director. There's been 14 track limit violations at the moment. Yost has got 1, Shimon's got 1, no, he's got 2, sorry. Camel's got a pair, 1 as well. And Matthew Alder getting 2 on the bank. He's now
Flores towards turn number 1 on the back of Jack West, and they're going to be 3 wide in towards the first corner. Sorry to cut in there, but Flores Myers, he's gone for the lead. Camel Stasherer off the circuit. Flores Myers, he sees his opportunity and he went for it. Now fighting for P2, Jack West and Camille Stasherer in towards this first sector. Flores Myers says see you later to the pair of them. He gets away and in towards P1, 3 wide move up the inside, a double overtake for the former F1 esports driver. That is a sensational overtake, and I think that is vintage Flores Myers there. Incredible move from him. Jack West and Camel Stasherer both caught napping, I think, from the Mercedes driver in towards turn number 1. They didn't expect for him to go for that kind of dive, and he's made that move stick brilliantly.
Yeah, well, sorry for interrupting. I wasn't even aware Forrest was going to make a move, but he's done it, and he's done it in great fashion. As you know, as you said before, the old Forrest that we like to see, as Sergio Sobrino looking to put himself a bit of a battle onto the back of Mirko Soriano. These two separated by just under 0.2 of a second now, as we come through in towards this final sector. It seems Mirko's been struggling a little bit because he's been overtaken by Duncan. He's now sitting 0.3 back. Sergio's on his tail as well as we come down in towards this final corner. So obviously Mirko's just got to keep himself ahead, but he's making a few mistakes here and there, which is not what he wants. As Joseph Fluke, this time on the back of Harvey, but still not close enough as we head down. And also Jack West, is he going to make the overtake on Floris at seed to turn 1? He's gaining, he's got the better line on the inside, but no backs off. So Kamal Sashra also went from around the outside, but backs off as well. So yeah, these three all still just not bothered about getting position as Joseph Fluke gets himself ahead of Harvey Cohen at turn 2, and Harvey goes back up the inside. Then it's the inside line 4, Joseph up into turn 3, bit of contact as we come through there. Now we come down towards turns 4 and 5, and Joseph still up the inside of Harvey. They go through. Harvey goes a little bit wide, I think, and he does go wide, but then it pushes Joseph back to the inside line. This time it's Harvey with the inside down in towards turn 6, and also that's a battle with Sergio and Simon, but now Joseph loses position also to Jona Martins, who's coming around the outside into turn 7. And let's see, does Joseph get himself ahead? All the bit of contact with Jona and Joseph there. I think Joseph's trying to push Jona a little bit too wide, and then Jona also hits the back nearly at Joseph into turn 10. And that has now really not helped Joseph at all, because he's going to use his tyres so much trying to push through. And also Tamas Gal trying to get himself ahead of Sergio, because Sergio lost a position to the Comskate. All happening here on lap 9. And yeah, well, Joseph has got a lot of work to do, because Harvey's showing even more. He's not letting anyone through.
Joseph Loke spent half a lap there battling side by side. He's going to need a little bit of a break just to settle back into this race, but I don't think Jona Martins is going to let him rest all that easy as they fly in towards turn number 1. Will the Ferrari driver go for the move to get himself into the points? He's yet to get off the mark so far this season. Now following in the wheel tracks of the Mercedes driver, he's going to have to go the long way round in towards turn number 1. Will Jona Martins be able to make this move stick? It doesn't look like it as he gets snap oversteer off the exit of turn number 1. I think that move is dead in the water. Joseph Loke going to be able to hold on to that P10 for the time being. Meanwhile, Harvey Cohen is going to be reeled in ever so slightly by the Mercedes driver. As they continue along, Rishan Jacobs and Timo Zelenkovic. It's not over on lap number 10, and that was a little bit of contact between the pair of them. Zelenkovic good to save that move there, and now up the inside off the exit of turn at number 6. He'll try and find that overtake. Yannick Schmidt and Legend Rosenberg having a scrap. Nathan, lap number 10, they're fighting like it's 29.
They are, and I don't know why people are fighting so hard. Surely just, sit back, don't miss penalties as Yannick Schmidt gets one. As we come down into turn 10, Yannick there, 3-second penalty, not what he would have wanted at all, and he's now going to pretty much sink to 18th at the final classification if it stayed like this. And back at the top, Duncan Hoffland looking to eye up a move on Kamal Sasha, the gap's about 1.6 of a second. And then Tarashgal also looking to get closer to Sabrino. Everyone are all battling on this lap, and yeah, like you said, Danny, it is like the final lap of the race. Everyone's just trying to get these positions at the moment. You don't need to fight for it, because you put yourself at risk of using more tyre wear, more battery, and also risk of incidents and penalties. You don't need to put that risk now, not even halfway through. It's not worth it, in my opinion.
It certainly is. I mean, you can't win the race on lap number 11, but some guys seem to think that you can, as Jack West gets close to the rear of Flores, fires in towards turn number 1. Once again, Kamil Stachura tries to find an overtake on the back of the Welshman, but it just wasn't meant to be. I mean, Jack West at the minute, he's hunting for his 4th podium in a row this evening, potentially his 2nd win of the season, and to extend his championship lead. It's been a fantastic showing from him so far this season. He's only a reserve driver. His current championship rival, Mirko Soriano, sitting down in 5th position. It's not a bad position by any means for the Italian. He's only got 2 cars in between himself and his championship rival, but Jack West still at this point going to be extending his lead in the championship. Meanwhile, further back behind, Joseph Loke once again. Nathan, he's getting close to the rear of Harvey Cohen, and I think it's going to be round number 3 between these guys or something.
Yeah, and if he keeps getting himself held up by Harvey, it could also be round 2 between him and Jona, because Jona's also sitting with about 3/10 back, so he's very close to try and pounce onto something if he can get the opportunity to do so as we come through now. And you can see yet again Duncan gaining a lot on Camille in this final sector as Matthew Older gets a 3-second penalty. That was more than possible to come, because he did have 2 lap warnings, I think, on the same lap. 2 track limit warnings, on the same lap a few laps ago, so obviously that was inevitable. As we come out the final corner, Tamas on the back of Sergio. Sergio's had a decent start, however, has dropped back to the Altera Vitokomsky, and still now For the team, is Jack gone for the move? No, he's not. So for the team of Alpha 3rd and 6th, that is more than what they want for themselves to get a decent points haul. They'll get themselves at least, I think, 15, 16 points, which would be nice for them in the Constructors' Championship. But it seems a lot of the time drivers care a lot more about their own championships than the Constructors. Sometimes, some drivers work together for Constructors, but others tend to just be like, yeah, this is the car I'm in, that's it. I'm going to push it, set, everyone for himself as we come down into turn 6 with Tamas Scout, sit on the back of Sergio Sobrino. That's about 2/10 of a second. Tamas obviously getting the podium last time out in Silverstone. Would definitely like another one of them this time around, but at the moment sitting down in 8th, not looking too well for him. He's got a few positions to get if he wants to get himself onto that top 3.
Absolutely, as they continue along on lap number 12. We're not too far away from the pit stop phase of this race, so I think everything is going to kick off a little bit more. You want to be ahead of your rivals heading in towards the pit lane, so you can get the jump on them potentially, and then in the medium stint be ahead of them and have that track position, because it is pretty difficult to overtake around this circuit. We've seen so far Joseph Loki's been quicker than Harvey Cohen, I think, consistently throughout the entirety of this Grand Prix, but he's not been able to find that opportunity because there's no real overtaking opportunity as someone's coming to the pit lane. That's Jonas Martins and Yannick Schmidt on lap number 12. I think that is a very early call from them. It's only been 12 laps on this set of the hard compound tyres as Jack West goes for the lead of the Grand Prix. Everything's changing now. Jonas Martins and Yannick Schmidt, they're both going to be pitting for the mediums, but I think, Nathan, that just might be a bit too early.
It might. They're going to have to go 17 laps on those tyres. So, yeah, at the start, they'll move themselves up nice because of the undercut, but eventually, they'll just start to drop down. So, hopefully, for Yona and Yannick's sake, they can do some good defending once their tyres start to drop off near the end of the race. I'd say they're going to be looking to fight hard from about lap 24 onwards. That's when they're going to start dropping down. So, they've got a lot of work to do, but the undercut will help significantly. They will jump a few seconds, probably ahead of the top 10, because, the undercut in its initial stages always works well. Which just the fact that everyone in the final stages, we know around the tyre wear can be a bit of it can be quite strong as well. So, yeah, it might be a bit of an early call, but for Jonas' sake, he's sitting in this DRS and he can't get himself ahead of Joseph. He can't put himself into the top 10, so he's going to try something different. So, yeah, hats off to them for that. And also, that's Joseph Loke yet again on the back of Harvey Cohen, but can't get through. This battle is just going to keep evolving even more and more, but it's just still. Harvey's making that McLaren as wide as the track at this point. He's doing such a good job at defending that McLaren, considering he's had such a poor couple of races this season. He's starting to get his form back, and that is also more people into the pits. So Yannick Schmidt gets another 3-second tyre penalty, and there we are, everyone into the pits. So that is very early, isn't it, I've noticed?
A lot of drivers into the pit lane. Kemal Sasha has got a penalty, and then Joseph Loke, that was cheeky from him, going in towards the pit lane, tried to, I think, outbrake Harvey Cohen because there was a few cars in front of him. Then he would have been given the jump, but it's not worked out for him, as now a lot of drivers into the pit lane. It's only the top 6 that have been left out on circuit. The big names like Kamil Stasher, who's unfortunately got a penalty in this race. Now Duncan Hoffman, Marcos Fabriano, Sergio Sobrino are all into the box. We'll see where Jonas Martins phases out in comparison to these guys. Going to be just behind his teammate who is running in P5. He'll also have the warmer tyres. So Jonas Martins certainly making this undercut work. Yannick Schmidt, he's got another 3-second time penalty. He decides to just call it a day and retire in the pit lane. Now Nathan, that is 2 retirements in this Grand Prix.
It is, and now it seems that, as we said, the undercut works. So I did not expect everyone to pit on lap 40. I thought we'd be seeing pit stops around lap 16, 17 as Matthew Walder gets another 3-second time penalty. And yeah, big shame for Yannick Schmidt. Would have been the first opportunity for Williams to get points, but for him himself, it's not. Sergio Sobrino still has that chance at the moment. Sergio's in a net P6 because of the top 6 obviously not pitting. Obviously they're going to have to do soon, and they will drop significantly further down, I think, than some of these drivers who have already made that pit stop. For Jona, it's obviously worked heavily as he's now sitting in net P4 as the top 3 pit. Does Andrea Tariq also decide to pit? Yes, he does. And Matthew Alder does. And Jan Herde decides to stay out. So Jan gone even longer than these hard tyre runners. Everyone now with a pit stop, and we'll see where these top 4 can filter out compared to the ones who just pitted.
Right on board then with Kemal Sasha, the current net leader of this race, off the exit of the final corner. Where will he emerge in comparison to Jack West and Flores Fires? They are exiting the pit lane now, but I think Kemal is going to be comfortably ahead of those guys. In towards the first corner they go. We'll once again watch now Jack West as they hit the first corner. Will he be ahead of Jonah Martins? Just about. He'll be up the inside, and I think Jonah with the warmer tyres is going to be able to stay ahead of Jack West, who's now dropped from the lead of this Grand Prix into P6. Florence Fires bogged down behind a few drivers here, and now we've got Harvey Cohen for company as they head in towards the first sector. Look at Harvey Cohen up the inside of Florence Fires. He's lost a number of positions. Now got 3 cars in between himself and Jack West. He's got the slightly fresher tyres, but Florence Fires has been an absolutely disastrous pit stop phase for him and Mercedes.
Yeah, Jack made that work perfectly because he fought hard with Yona, and he's now obviously going to have his tyres pretty much warmed up to what they want to be, so he can just sit in this train now and fight. But at the moment, the top 3 is Camille, Duncan, Mirko. So Duncan's done a great job, hasn't he, with that undercut to make it work. Yona obviously went for a bit of a bigger undercut. He's also now sitting in the top 4, so could be a possible podium for him as Jan Howday comes into pits. He'll be the final person to pit stop, and then we'll obviously see what the grid looks like after pit stops. But yeah, very interesting pit stop phase there, with obviously a few drivers on different laps of tyres, so that could come into fact at the end of the race, but not good for Floris and Shimon, who've got to make themselves work through the field, as that was Bishon Jacobs going through to give each other the final corner. Joseph Loke gets a 3-second time penalty. He's now in net P11, and you can see Bishon and Tima are driving through each other down the straight into turn 1.
As we've got some drama at the front of the order, Mirko Soriano looking for a move on Duncan Hoffman. Jack West also trying to find an opportunity on Jonah Martins inside this top 5 now. Jack West with his tyres fully up to temperature. He's going to take advantage of them as much as he can in towards then turn number 4 and 5. He'll have the better grip than Jonah and Mirko just ahead of him. 2 lap fresher medium tyres strapped onto that Red Bull. We look up the inside of turn number 6. Can he make the move still? Will have the better grip on the exit of the corner. They're going to run wheel to wheel, side by side now in towards this next right-hander. Jonah Martins with the inside line. Can Jack West hang it the long way round? Oh, the door is shut just right in front of his face there, and unfortunately he's not been able to make the opportunity work, but he's got the pace in that Red Bull. He knows he's the quicker man in this fight at the minute. It's just about picking his opportunity. It wasn't meant to be in towards turn number 6, but maybe in towards this final sector he can find an opportunity and make it work.
Yeah, you can see he's got a lot of pace. He's literally pushing on through the corner at this point as he come through. Gaps is less than a tenth into turn 15. He actually looked for a send there. You can see he had to completely lift off going into turn 15. That's how much pace he's got so far on these newer medium tyres as we head into the final corner. Now we can see Jack gets a very nice exit, a better exit than Yona, so we'll see. Does Jack get himself ahead into turn 1? He's going to have the slipstream, the DRS, the ERS at his advantage. He's got the, look at that, straight through. Yona's going to defend heavy into turn 1. Jack has the inside line. We'll see as we go into the corner. I think Jack's just about got it, but Yona hooks it around the outside. Into turn 2, then 8 contact. Yona gets a 3-second penalty for that. Now that is harsh. So surely that could be removed because he got pushed completely off track there by Jack. As we come through, and Jack does get himself ahead. I think it was Forrest Wise is also looking on the back of Harvey Cohen, but couldn't get himself through. Sergio Sabrino on the back of these two, Jack and Yona, who are having a bit of a battle. Obviously, this isn't good for them because it means the likes of Sergio and Tamasha, who are sitting behind, can just try and pick a position off when they can. When these guys are battling really, really hard, but at the moment, yeah, Jack now into the provisional P4. Well, provisional P3 because of Camel's penalty.
I don't think that was a dirty move by any means for Jack West. He was ahead at the apex of the corner. He was well within his rights to give Jonah Martins a shove, but I do not think that Jonah Martins should have gotten a time penalty there because he had nowhere else to go. I mean, he was slower off the exit of the corner and he couldn't actually back out in time really, and unfortunately he's picked up a penalty. But if he doesn't get any more warnings in this race, he can send a clip to the stewards and possibly get that 3-second time penalty removed. But for the time being, he's got to get his head down because this race has gone off like a shot. We're already on lap number 17 of 29. We're coming up almost to 10 laps to go in this race. It is still Kamil Stushura leading this race ahead of Duncan Hoffman and Mirko Soriano, but Jack West very much keeping this race exciting as now Sergio Sabrino in towards turn 1 will make the move on Jonah Martins, who I think is going to sink down the order. That's Flores Fires once again with a big send towards the inside. He's got the move on Harvey Cohen, but he's not been able to find it on Tamash Gowan. Flores, Nathan, he's just incredibly aggressive at this point.
He is. He's pushing really hard. I think he's had his bit of contact again with these two coming through. But, that was... Well, that's interesting. Anyway, as we come through, Lukomsky looking to get himself ahead of Harvey, who's still trying to push after Floris. And Flores is doing a sensational job. Considering what's happened in Silverstone, I think he's really switched it on now and thought, right, we can't let those performances happen again. We need to be back on the pace. And so far, he's pushing through with penalties for Yona, which will get removed, and Camel. Still, he's looking at a possible P6. Obviously, penalties can still get removed, but for now, he's net P6, which would be great for him. Tamas Gal looking to get himself ahead of Yona Martins, and Sergio also got himself ahead of Yona Martins as well, down to turn 1, who's got some decent straight lines. With the two Alpines fighting, that's Andre and Timo Zadankiewicz in towards this the triple right-handers down turns 12 to 14, and Alpine yet again having a bit of an unfortunate race, both outside the points significantly, and they've got a lot of work to do if they want to get themselves back into the points. But Andre is getting on the back of Rishan, but it's not enough yet for him to make himself an overtake as we head into turn 16.
Andre Taryukin, he's not really had the best of Grand Prix, but I think it'd be good if he can get himself into a points-paying position. Meanwhile, Tamas Gal looking for a move on Yona Martins around the outside of turn number 1. Further back, Shimon Lakomsky looking for a move on Harvey Cohen. The AlphaTauri's got 1 lap fresher tyres than Harvey, and then around the outside of turn number 2, Harvey Cohen's going to do his best to shut the door. That's off track once again for Shimon Lakomsky, and now Joseph Loke looking for a way into this scrap as they head in towards turn number 4 and 5. Joseph Loke, I think he feels hard done by in this race. He knows he's got pace, but he's just not been able to make a move work, as now Harvey Cohen has a penalty. Shimon Lakomsky looking up the inside, and they're all over the circuit at this point off the exit of turn number 6. Where can Joseph Loke filter into this fight? Will Shimon Lakomsky go up the inside in towards turn number 7? Indeed he will. Off the exit of turn number 8 and 9. Can he find this move on Harvey Cohen? Will Harvey Cohen's defence be penetrated? Indeed it will be, because around the outside, here comes Shimon Lakomsky. He's finally got the move done. Harvey Cohen is down into P10. I think Joseph Loke going to have something to say about this. He's looking up the inside in the final sector, flat out through this triple right-hander. Will Joseph Loke get the move done? Finally, after laps of effort, he's been able to get his way by on Harvey Cohen, and now Joseph Loke surely is going to be unleashed here.
Yeah, that's all he needed. He needed that move, and hopefully he could just start to push himself back through. He was quicker than Lakomsky, who got through on Harvey. Flores has been looking quick, so that's going to be a struggle for him, but he's definitely got moves on the borders. Flores now up the inside of Yona Martins as we head down into the first corner. It's Flores to the inside. Yona, though, sticking around the outside into turn 1 as we go through. And is he close enough? No. So Flores does get himself that opportunity of an overtake and puts himself into the top 7 as we come through. A bit of contact there between Yona and Flores, but nothing too harmful. As now Jack West looking to get closer to Mirko Soriano, and Duncan also looking closer to Kamil Sasha. Now, Matthew Ward with his 3rd penalty of the race will drop down to below Legend Rosenberg at least, because he's got 9 seconds worth of penalties now, which isn't what he would have wanted. And looking through, it is yet again Lakomsky on the back of Yona Martins. Everyone now all involved in this battle. Joseph Loke's going to gain a bit, but then he'll be on the back of this battle as well, with Harvey, Rishan, Andre and Tima, who are also within all 3 or 4 tenths of a second of each other. Jack West still getting on the back of Mirko Soriano in towards turn number 10. Remember, these two are the ones fighting for the championship at the moment. If Mirko was to get this position, I think the gap in the championship will go down to about 3 points. If Jack was to increase his position and was to finish ahead of Mirko, the gap would be around 8 or 9 points. So still lots to play for with these two. Obviously only round 4, but any point at this point can matter, as Tamas Gal looking to get closer and Flores getting closer to the back of Tamas.
It's all kicking off here with 10 to go. We're coming up towards 9 laps remaining in this Grand Prix. Flores Fires doing a fantastic job of applying the pressure at the right places for Tamas Gal, potentially forcing him into a slip up. It's now in towards turn number 1. Flores Fires sells Tamas the dummy as they head in towards that first corner. It'll be the long way round for Flores, who's going to force his way up the inside of Sergio Sobrino. That was so close to just completely wiping out Tamas Gal down the main straight. I don't know what Flores is really playing at here, but he's been able to make the move stick and get ahead of Tamas Gal. He knows he's quicker. He's got the better tyres at this point, but that doesn't mean he can do something like that in towards turn number 1, where Tamas Gal, if he was just a few inches ahead of where he was, both of them possibly could have been sent spearing off into the wall. As now Yona Martins deep on the brakes, goes into the back of Tamas Gal, gives a tap to the Red Bull driver who's in the wars in this last lap or so. Now Shimon Lakomsky, who picked up a 3-second time penalty just a few laps ago, is on the back of this fight, but on lap number 21 it really is getting a bit dicey.
It is, and the person in the worst situation still is Kamil Sasha with that 5-second penalty. That is not what he wants at all, is it? And it's going to ruin his race, because he'll drop down 8 the points at this rate, because everyone's so close together. And Duncan Hoffman looking on his course for his first victory. Mirko Soriano and Jack West on course for another podium. And someone in the chat says, can the commentator remind us of the standings? At the moment it is Jack West on 38 and then Mirko Soriano on 33. So very close between those two, and then there's about a 15-point gap to P3 and so on. So at the moment, the main battle for the championship at this point is between Mirko and Jack.
On towards lap number 22. Camel Stasher still leading this Grand Prix, doing a fantastic job of maintaining pace here. And I think even though if he doesn't win this race, he knows he's got the pace to fight in the future. So I wouldn't take this too badly if I was Camel. But yeah, I had a quick look at the gap to the leader. If this penalty stands, it'll be all the way down in 15th position. So in this Grand Prix, Camel is essentially a non-factor. It is just allowing Duncan Hoffland to actually defend a little bit easier from Mirko Soriano, who is on the back of the Aston Martin as much as he can. These two have a long history together, fighting on the PlayStation platform, now on the PC. But with Duncan Hoffland having the DRS on Camel ahead of him, it's essentially creating an equalizer between the pair of them, because now the benefit of the DRS is not going to actually be applied if everyone is utilizing it. That is where the term DRS train has been coined, where with only one straight, somehow along this circuit, we have found ourselves well within one. We've got, 16 cars all within DRS of each other. It's incredible to see how close this F2 grid is, but I don't think Mirko Soriano is going to be too happy about it.
He's not at all. He wants to get himself through, obviously. He's sitting 2.5 tenths back, and we know in this game, a lot of the time people say, you don't want to be in first. You want to sit in second for the majority of the race and then push on the final couple of laps. So for Duncan, he is at the moment the winner, but he's got a car ahead, so it is perfect situation for him just to try and make something work and get himself closer to that victory. As we come down into turn 1, Tamás Gál on the back of Flores Suarez also. That was Simon Komsky getting very close to the back of Jona Martins there. Through as we come down now, and Jona very slow through that section as he had to defend from Simon Komsky. Tamás Gál also had to defend there as well from Jona. So that put Jona very slow through that section. And I think they made a bit of contact, or at least a bit of will banging between those two as he come through, and Joseph Local comes to sit on the back of Lekomsky in towards turn 6 as Joseph send it. He does up the inside in towards turn 6. Joseph Local up the inside of Simon Lekomsky. Bit of wheel banging between the two as they come now, charging down towards turn 7. Side by side, it's Joseph around the outside, Lekomsky up the inside. Who will make it work as they come through? I think Joseph has got a bit of better traction on the exit. Yes, he has. A best line for Joseph. Puts himself ahead into P9 ahead of Szymon Lekomsky. And now it's his charge after Jona Martins, who he was having to defend from before the pit stops.
Nice move from Joseph Loke there to get himself into P9. A little bit safer in this race, but with that penalty, he should be sent down the order. I actually think in terms of the penalties, Camel Stasher is going to be around about the 11th position mark. So if someone else behind him gets the penalties, I think points are still on the card for the leader, who has just been able to break away from that 1 second window that he needs he's broken away that 1 second window for the DRS range. And actually, Duncan Hoffland has not got the benefit of DRS heading in towards turn number 1. He's lost a little bit of time somewhere along the road, further back behind, more scrapping to be seen. I think Harvey Cohen is up the inside of Szymon Lekomsky, who's seemingly struggling a little bit in this midpoint of the race. Harvey Cohen shoving him out wide in towards turn number 2. Rishan Jacobs and Andrei Charabukin looking for a way into this fight as well as they hit the end of this first sector. Here comes Charabukin to the inside of Rishan Jacobs in towards turn number 4. Has he got that inside line? Indeed he has. It'll be the double right-hander for him. He's going to be able to stick this one down the inside. Rishan Jacobs though holding his own along the outside, and he'll have the inside line for the next left of turn at number 6. Off the tricky traction zone they go. Andrei Charabukin shoved out wide with a 3-second time penalty to his name, and now in towards that second sector. Unfortunately, I think he's going to have to give up on that move, but on lap number 24 or 29, these guys with 9-10 lap old tyres fighting like they've just pitted.
Yeah, and Rishan made a bit of contact, a bit of heavy contact going through into turn 7 there between the two, and obviously now Andrei's got himself a penalty, should be removed shortly. It's Matthew Waldeck looking from around the outside of Jan Halliday into this final sector, can't get himself through, and Jan yet again another driver who hasn't shown much pace as Andrei gets another one, and Sabrino with a 3-second time penalty. So multiple drivers now just getting penalties left, right and centre, and this could throw anyone into the points at this point. Right now I think Timo Zelenkiewicz is on course for a P9, Jan Halliday's on course for a P10, and they're sitting down in 15.
Yeah, I mean, if you just keep it clean in this race, you're going to be in a good position. Now as at the front of the order, seems like Duncan Hoffman's had no trouble catching back up to Camel Stasher, and he's dragged Mirko Soriano along with him. Lap number 25 and 29, we'll have a look at the ERS situations. It's very difficult charge the battery around this track. Mirko has got 73%, Duncan Hoffman 71%, so the pair of them pretty much equal in this race in terms of ERS. They've got the same tyre life as well. Let's have a look at Jack West. He's got a little bit less ERS, but he does have one lap fresher tyres. And now Rishan Jacobs, what's happened?
Matthew and Tima, well, Rishan went a little bit wide at turn 6 and just kind of cut back in and got in a contact with Tima Zelenkiewicz, who also then got hit by Matthew Alder. And they got Fries with the penalty as well. This is craziness. On lap 25. Yeah.
What's going on? Look how many penalties we have. Camel Stashura, Sergio Sabrino, Flores Fires, Joseph Lowe, Yona Martins, Harvey Collins, Shimon Lekomsky, Andrei Tarabukin, Rishan Jacobs and Matthew Alder. I've almost run out of fingers there to count on. That's 10 drivers. Half the grid this evening has got penalties, and 2 of them haven't even completed most of this Grand Prix.
With another
one. He's up to 6 seconds now. I mean, Matthew Alder's got 9 seconds. Jonah Martins and Harvey Cohen have both got 6 seconds. What's going on in this race?
Well, the moment Yahade is going to be P5.
Oh my gosh.
This is...
No, I don't know what's happening. We'll move on from it. We'll take this race at face value. We're still on lap number 26.
This is great.
I mean, Qatar, we knew it was going to be an unpredictable race. We knew it was going to be difficult on the penalties, but I didn't expect half the grid to get penalties. I maybe expected like 6, 7 or 8. Timo Zelenkovic, into the pit lane. That is understandable. Heartbreak for those 3 involved in that collision. Do you know what happened there, Nathan?
What, with Rishan and that?
Yeah, what happened?
Well, Rishan had the outside line. He kind of went really wide to get a nice line back into the track. Cut across, I think, on Tima. Then, obviously, Rishan went round. Tima had to slam on his brakes. Then Matthew comes shooting through straight into the back of Tima. So Matthew had no part to play in it. He is between Tima and Rishan, but they was getting... Oh, Mirko Soriano being pointed out the good by Jack West. We missed that one, didn't we?
He's been brutalised by the Welshman, but he's been able to stay ahead in towards the final sector. Jack West has really committed to that overtake. He wanted to get by. He wants to be behind Duncan Hoffman. Now Sergio Sabrino and Flores Fires and Tamas Gal, they've all been invited to the party as, oh dear, that's Tamas Gal almost going for a spin off the exit of turn number 15. Another penalty in this race. That's Legend Rosenberg, I think, with another penalty, actually. I think that's not his first, but we'll see what happens. They head in towards turn number 1. It looks like Sergio Sabrino can actually go for a move on Jack West as they head in towards the first corner. Duncan Hoffman also possibly trying to look for the lead. I think he's happy to sit behind Camel Stashura. Somehow, in all of that scrapping, they've maintained position.
Yeah, it's a great race. The top 13 are separated by 4.3 seconds. It's mental. It is absolutely mental. So far, Jan Hade will gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 positions.
Yeah,
so we'd be P4.
They're not done. Jack West, sorry to cut in there. He's up the inside at turn number 6. Once again on Mirko Soriano. Is this one going to be clean around the outside of turn number 7? I don't know. At this point, I don't think he's got the grip at the moment. As Jack West, he's once again tried for an overtake in a bit of an unconventional position. And it's not worked out for him. Mirko Soriano, he lives to fight another day.
He does, and still big start from Mirko coming out of turn 10 and 11. As you come through in towards turns 12, 13 and 14 in the play-out section. Jack still trying to get himself ahead. Obviously, these 2 are fighting for the championship. If Mirko finishes ahead, the gap to the championship closes to about 2 or 3 points. And Camel Stashura gets a 3-second penalty. Yeah. So that's ruined it even more for him. So another first track limit penalty for Camel Stashura. But obviously, Jack wants to finish ahead of Mirko so he can get himself a big advantage in the points to make it nearly 10. But he finishes behind. The gap goes down to about 5. And now Mirko looking to get on Duncan. Duncan's got some DRS on the back of Camille, doesn't need to bother making the move yet, and also Tamas Gal on the back of Flores, who's on the back as Sergio Sabrino, and that's Jan Halliday ahead of Andrei Tarabukin. Then at turn 1, Andrei's got the inside line, sends it. Joseph Logue ahead of Tamas Gal as well. They make contact into turn 2. It's Tamas up the inside, Joseph around the outside. That gives Joseph the inside line to turn 3, gets himself ahead. And then I think Jan did get himself ahead of Andrei. Yes, he did, to put himself into the top 12, provisionally the top 4.
1.5 laps or so to go in this race. Camel Stashura's done a fantastic job of leading this race throughout all of it. I mean, he's been sort of just running away at the front. Well, he's not running away, but he's been running his race at the front of the order. It's heartbreaking that he's got the penalties because he definitely is deserving of at least a podium. Once again, Jack West, 3rd time in a row, is going up the inside in the 2nd sector. Will he finally be able to make the move stick? I think Mirko Soriano does well to once again just stay ahead as they head in towards the final sector. Matthew Alder with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It's nice to see him still in this race despite having that front wing damage. He had no front wing whatsoever. just a few laps ago, so it's good to see him still in this Grand Prix. They're about to hit the final lap of the Grand Prix. The top 4 separated by about 0.5 of a second or something. Sergio Sobrino, Flores Valles are also involved in the scrap. So off the exit at the final corner for the penultimate time, here we go. Duncan Hoffland then is going to be your leader. Mirko Soriano running in second. Jack West in third. Will we see it all kick off as they head in towards turn 1? Duncan Hoffland looking towards the outside of Camel Sashra. Sergio Sobrino further back behind, going for the move on Jack West, but it is Duncan Hoffland up the inside and into P1 ahead of Camel Sashra, who's lost 2 positions in that fight, maybe possibly 3, because here comes Jack West in that first sector as we got yellow flags, caution, Harvey Cohen, no, it's Legend Rosenberg, I believe, that's gone round.
And Tomlakowski's gone round as well on the exit at turn 3. And that's Jan Howard out the inside of Jonas Martins at turn 4 and 5. And craziest on the final lap. Sergio Sobrino on the outside of Jack West. Jack West up the inside of Camel Sasha to put himself into P3. And there we come down. Camel's got a better run though into turn 7. Up the inside line. That's Andre and Yoda fighting, but still on this battle for the top, well, for 3rd and 4th, it's Camel and Jack, and Sergio Sobrino also now with a great line coming through to turn 10, has a bit of contact with Camel Staturer as they come through, and also Florence Wise looking to get himself through on possibly 2 of them as they come down in towards turns 10 and 11, and look at Flores, there's 3 of them all going to this section, and it nearly went 3 wide as we head down into turns 12, 13 and 14, and Sergio just ahead of Camel.
Yeah, and Duncan Hoffland, he is leading this race. I don't think Mirko Soriano is going to have an opportunity to take victory here. Matthew Order retiring in the pit lane. Duncan Hoffland's not going to care. Jack West, his hopes have been dashed by Camel Sasha getting in the way, but off the exit at the final corner for the final time, Duncan Hoffland is going to take victory here as Jack West almost spinning off the circuit. He's losing places. What's happened there for Jack West? I think... What has he done? Marco Soriano in P2, Tamas Gal 3rd, 4th is Jan Halliday. What?
What was that?
What?
I've got no words. I've got no words at all.
Huh?
Well, Jan, he was 15th, then he's 12th, and now he's 4th. Tamas Gal finished 3rd. But what happened to Jack? I have no words. I do not have a clue what happened, but he went around at the final corner.
I think I might know. Maybe he thought that the start-finish line was at the beginning, and he, like, you know, some drivers, they like to spin across. I'm not sure if that's the case, but he's thrown away P3 completely here. He's thrown away a podium. He's 9th place now. Jack,
right? His wheel disconnected.
His wheel
on the line. He just put it in the chat.
No. Oh, that is so unlucky. So I think maybe what happens is with these Fanatec wheels and stuff, they like dart back from side to side.
Yeah, that's what's happened probably, isn't it? Oh, what a shame. What a shame. But the final results classifications. Yeah. Duncan Hoffland from 5th to 1st takes victory. Then we have Mirko Soriano in 2nd. Tamas Gal rounds out for the podium. If it's not one Red Bull, it's the other. And then Jan Halliday with a sensational performance up to P4. So just been in the top 5. Flores Wise down to 6th. Josie Flock finishing in 7th. Jack West in 8th after his little bit of a collision with the wall. Carlos Thatcher in 9th. And Andrew Trabukin in 10th. And Jonas Martins, Adrian Rosenberg, Christian Jacobs, Harvey Cohen, and Simon Komsky and Tycho Hardy are the ones who finish. And then I believe Matthew Aldat, Tim Zdankiewicz, Yannick Schmidt, and Joost Nuraka all retired. But that was the most crazy one of them all. And remember before, and I said nearly everyone got a penalty apart from like one driver. Well, that nearly happened today, apart from 5. Only 5 drivers didn't get a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, what's happened? I don't know how I don't even know what happened. I'm honestly, everything has just gone from my mind as what happened in the last 2 laps there. But I mean, that. It's entertaining to watch, Nathan, but there comes a point where is it too much with these dirty moves up the inside?
I think it got so that it did get a bit ridiculous at some points. People were just sending it for the sake of it. There's battles like Joseph and Harvey, that's fair, but then there was some people absolutely annihilate it from 3-4 tenths back. But we have Tamas Gal who will join us in the interview room, so we get one of the top 3 to join us.
Bring us over to the interview room then, and we can talk to Tamas Gal. Tamas, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic myself. We'll start off the interview then. Heading into this qualifying session, you started. I'm just sorry. I'm trying to get the results up on my screen. You started in a decent
P8.
P. Oh, it's P8. It says P. Oh yeah, it's P7 on my screen here. Oh, but I have no idea. You started in and around the top 10. How did
Yeah.
qualifying go for you?
I mean, I'm disappointed with my qualifying because the pace I had in this PSGL qualifying was 3 tenths off my PB, which is like not ideal. I was just nervous in sector 1, lost 1.5 tenths, which was really not ideal. But in the race, I just had one warning, so I was really cautious. I wasn't in any incidents. I just tried to be like out of the incidents because I knew it's gonna be carnage. So.
And we saw at one point in the race, it was, I believe, Flores Vias going for a move on you. It was a little bit touch and go as to whether you two were actually going to crash down in towards turn number 1. What happened there?
I mean, he was just a little bit aggressive, but it was fine for me. I just tried to be more focused, even more focused. I didn't want to try to overtake him back. It just didn't make any sense to me. I knew he was on 2 warnings. So I was just waiting to get him a pen, that he is gonna get a pen. So yeah, and it paid out.
And of course, in the last few laps, everything just exploded.
Yep.
From your point of view, what happened in the last 2 or 3 laps?
It was just carnage. I mean, I just tried to be really cautious because I knew it's gonna be carnage. There wasn't any point to be aggressive, to overtake people, because I knew Camille had a penalty, Flores had a penalty, Sergio had a penalty, and yeah, it was a great race. Not a good qualifying. It could have been a better result, but yeah, it's fine.
And I think you were behind him at this point. What did you think when you saw Jack West have his wheel disconnect?
I mean, it was really weird because I just didn't understand what he's doing there. But then I saw the Parnell chat that he wrote that his wheel disconnected. So yeah, it's really unlucky, but I'm happy with my result.
Yeah,
I don't know if Flores can. Oh, sorry. I don't know if Flores can remove his penalty because he was defending his position on the last lap. So I don't know. He might get the pen removed. If it's P4, it's P4. If it's P3, it's P3. It's still a great result from P8.
Yeah, I think the stewards certainly going to be very busy this evening, regardless of who gets what penalty removed. The stewards are definitely going to have their work cut out for you, but for them. But that's all from me. Nathan, anything you want to say to Tamas?
No, but well done for keeping it calm through those last few laps, because anyone could have ended up rounding the wall, but you got yourself through. And we know penalties. Well done, because everyone, I think you was one of like 5 drivers that didn't get a penalty. So yeah, well done that one.
Yeah, I was on 0 warnings till lap 25. So yeah.
Oh, well done, and we'll see you next time. So
GG to Mirko and Duncan. See you.
Bye.
Thank you very much then to Tamas Gal for joining us in the interview room. I think we'll go up from P3 to P2. Mirko Soriano is up next. Nathan, anything you want to say? I think you sorry, I'm losing my words. Take us through the interview here with Mirko.
So welcome in, Mirko. After that final last few laps, how are you feeling?
Nah, I mean, it was a good race. Even if I didn't win, it's not like a huge problem. Yeah, maybe the problem was I let Duncan pass in the first team. Like I didn't use any res, I didn't defend at all, because I thought he was not like able to harvest the res because it's very hard in this track. So I was just like waiting for the second stint. Like I didn't use any inch of ERS like the whole first stint. I was on 100% battery like whole time. So when I was not like when I saw Duncan that he was close, I knew he was going for a move. So I just let him go, thinking he was not gonna be able to harvest ERS. And then I think he did. So I lost the position for free. And then yeah, we pitted the same lap. It was the right strategy because we passed like three people, 2 people. Then Camille had the penalty. He's in the pit lane. So I knew it was like was gonna overtake in the last lap for Duncan. I tried everything. I had a bit less ERS than him, because I also had to defend from Jack West behind, who was on the lap fresh tires. And then we overtook Camille in the last lap, and I didn't have the chance to overtake.
Yeah, well, Jack had an issue on the final lap. His wheel disconnected on the line, so he ended up dropping down the P8. But now that gives you a bit of an advantage in the championship. I think you'll lead by about 5 or 6 points probably now. So it's put you back ahead in the championship. But there's still more rounds to go. Do you think you can still hold on to it, or do you think Jack will still be on your tail as we go to the next round in Austria?
I think Jack has been very quick this year. And also, I mean, even if Duncan has less points, I think he got unlucky a few times. So, I mean, he showed he can also win. So, not looking for Jack only.
Yeah. So it's going to be a tight championship, and you've done a good job so far. But Austria, what are your thoughts? Is it a track you like, or?
Never did a lap yet.
Oh.
On Austria. So.
That's going to be interesting.
So, yeah, I'll get up to practice.
Anything from you, Dan?
Nothing from me, Marco, but really well done in this race. It should put you, I think, back ahead of Jack after his wheel disconnect. I mean, that was so unfortunate that the podium got away from him. But I also actually, I do actually have a question for you. In this championship fight, it seems like you and Jack seemingly are just the main protagonists at the moment. Is this about winning the championship, or is it getting a number up on him?
What? Sorry?
Sorry, I'm losing my words here at this point. But is beating it? Oh my gosh, I'm losing everything in this championship fight. Is it about winning the championship, or is it about beating Jack West?
I mean, if it is Jack West, if it is Duncan, if it is Camille, but I think it's about winning the championship.
I was trying to make a little artificial rivalry there, but
we're all friends.
Seems like it's all sunshine and rainbows here in PC. Oh my gosh, in PC F2. Can't say that's the case though for further down the grid, because I'm looking in the Discord chat. Not many people are happy at the minute.
Yeah, I don't get hungry like that much. Like I got hungry after Bahrain, but I mean I had my excuses. And then I'm friend with everyone.
Maybe one day I'll just I'll bribe one of you to take each other out, and then we can have a proper.
Maybe the next interview would be.
Well, thank you very much then for joining us in the interview room. We'll let you.
Dan?
Hello. What?
You disappeared.
I'm here. Hello.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Marcos, for joining us in the interview room, and hopefully we'll see you next time out in Austria.
Yeah, thank you. You too, Duncan, as well.
Bye.
Okay, and that leaves us with our race winner. Sorry to have kept you waiting, Duncan. It felt right to do the winner last. So can you hear me first and foremost?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Perfect. You are loud and clear on my end. So coming into qualifying, you were less than a tenth off of pole position, but it was P5 for you. How did you feel at the end of that session?
Well, it was quite tough, as my banker lap seemed to be pretty good, but then invalidated in the penultimate corner. Second lap was on for the same sort of lap time, invalidated again. Third lap was pretty decent. The final lap I managed to get a pretty good lap in. I mean, it's really easy to invalidate around there, so I was a bit careful, but I mean, still P5 was good enough to win the race.
Yeah, and heading into this one, of course, you decided to pit a little bit earlier than everyone else. What guided that decision for you?
I was just thinking if anyone ahead of me was going into the pits, I would follow him, as leading around here is quite bad. Just wanted to follow someone, and if one guy would pit before me, if I had to, I could get past him at the long straight over start-finish line. So yeah, that was basically it, and track position is the most important around this track.
Absolutely, and that was king on the final lap of the race. Once you were able to get by on Kamil Stachura, no one else really had the competition for you. On that last lap, though, what was going through your mind as you saw Marco Soriano get very close to you on that main straight?
Well, the guy ahead of me, he started driving very slow in the middle sector. So I don't know. I think he wanted me to get past or something to still get DRS. But yeah, that was quite annoying because he was driving very slow. Then I had to go slow, and everyone was very close behind me. But luckily, he still stayed ahead of me, so I could get past at start-finish line. And yeah, that gave me the win.
Yeah, and of course, heading into the next race of this season, Austria, I believe, if I remember correctly, back in like season 30, at the beginning of F1 22, I think you were pretty quick around there. How are you feeling around that track?
I'm feeling pretty good around the track. There's just one downside. I am not home next week.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm vacation, so I will miss it.
As am I. I'm not here next week, unfortunately. But I'll be watching it from sunny Spain, which is very nice indeed.
Great.
Nathan, anything you want to say to Duncan then?
No, I'll be honest, I don't know what you talk about. I was listening half the time, but well done, Duncan, on the victory. Finally, you deserve it. So yeah, and well, I guess we'll see you in round 6. So I don't think we even know what that is yet, do we?
No.
Or not publicly anyway, because I don't.
I
don't know.
I don't either.
Random generator, maybe?
So we might be at, I don't know, Jeddah or something
Spin a
for round
wheel.
6.
We'll find out.
But yeah, well done, Duncan, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, guys.
Right,
Goodbye.
That brings us then to the end of the interviews. I can bring us then, as I get my OBS back on my screen, I can bring us back to the commentators' corner. And what can we say about that race, Nathan? I mean, it was fun. It was fun to watch, but in the last few laps, we got to talk about driving standards.
Well, driving standards is something you got to talk about all the time because everyone says, "Oh, driving standards are bad," but nearly everyone who says that has been involved in an incident. It's because it's like sometimes some people don't understand the rules. Like there's been many times where I've said, well, people have said, "Oh, well, you wasn't fully alongside," or "alongside is here, not there." And it's like, well, if you read the rules, it clearly states what alongside is. So when there's people who are like, I think it's rear axle to front wing or front wheel, and there's people that are like fully alongside saying you're not alongside for you to be ahead. It's like, no, people are having to think of now if you're not ahead of me, you have no room, you have no space, which ruins racing because it makes it boring. It makes people being spun off. So as much as it is entertaining for us and as much as it gives views for us on the stream, it's not good because these type of things will process over into esports, which isn't going to be, it's about 2 or 3 months away. So that will move over to there. And then obviously you remember some of these drivers are going to be moving up to esports probably in the next 1 or 2 years. If they're like this still, that's going to give esports a bad name as well because you'll have people being punted off left, right, and centre at the top level. So yeah, it needs to be sorted out. And I think sometimes the penalties aren't harsh. I think the penalties seem to be a lot harsher. There's people being sent off track being given 3-second time penalties. It should be 5 or 10. People need to learn the lesson. And sometimes you need to be a bit harsher, just for it to settle in to be like, yeah, if you push someone off and they go to wall, you're going to get a 10 seconds. Simple as people will stop it then because they know they'll get a penalty from it. So yeah, they need to definitely calm down a bit.
I mean, I've been commentating on PSGL since season 26, which was back on F1 2020, and I've been able to look at all the Discord chats after every single race, and I just feel that this season there's that aura of no one is congratulating each other. They're always just everyone's just bickering at one another, and it really is quite upsetting to see because at the end of the day, once again, like I say this, I feel like every week, we're not racing for anything. There's no prize at the end of the season for winning the championship. It is all just for fun at the end of the day, and of course for practice for the drivers that want to make it in F1 esports. And I can understand why you are upset and such, and you know what, I actually do think it is a very reasonable reaction, because if you want to be able to practice to get yourself into esports and you're being swiped on the 5th lap of the Grand Prix or something, that is going to be valuable practice time lost, and it's just something that shouldn't happen in the first place. So issues need to be ironed out. It can make for fun, entertaining races sometimes when it gets a little bit heated and then there's a crash somewhere here or there. But when it's every single lap, drivers getting punted around the circuit, forced off, getting penalties, it's not fun at the end of the day.
No, it's not. I've been here since season 30, end of season 30, and this has been by far, we're only 4 rounds in, the most toxic season. There's people throwing out insults on Twitter and in Discord servers and their own team servers. So yeah, it's quite annoying really. For me, it doesn't affect me personally because I don't drive, but for the drivers, it will affect them, because when people are being called names and being in sort of, you shouldn't be driving in this here, you're so bad, or you're really dirty. It's quite annoying, and I can understand the drivers, rivalries for each other. But then it brings that sort of kind of that hostile environment into the races. There'll be two people that have maybe argued in Discord. They'll both want to get one up on each other, so they'll make it dirty, and that's, I think, I'm not going to name names. We've seen it with some drivers tonight who have not got along exactly well, and it's just escalated and caused, near the end, a couple of collisions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just needs to be sorted. Everything needs to. I think we just need to sort of go back to the drawing board. Maybe get everyone in Discord to tell everyone the rules. Read it out like a university lecture. Get everyone in a nice hall together or something. And then just rehearse the rules once again. But that brings us to the end of that. I think. What else can we say? I mean, other than the driving standards being, I mean, this is harsh but abysmal at some points. We have a very fun championship fight panning out at the moment. Jack West, of course, with his wheel disconnect, is going to lose a heap of points to Mirko Soriano. And it looks like now Mirko is going to be back ahead in the championship lead by a decent margin. So the advantage swings back the way of Ferrari.
Yeah, and Mirko deserves it. I think him along with Jack and also Duncan over these past few races have been the best three, I think, in the tier. Easily the best three. Duncan, I'd say in the past few races, he's been the best. Jack has been consistently on the podium, and Mirko also has had his ups and downs, but he has been up there still. So I think they're the best three at the moment, and they're going to be the ones fighting for the championship. Duncan might not be fighting for it so hard because he's obviously not going to be here next week, but then obviously throughout the season, there might be chances where Mirko's not there or Jack's not there, or they might get a DNF. So yeah, I think those are the top three for the championship. Everyone else further down in the midfield, they need to sort out their racecraft, which hopefully can be done soon. And yeah, that's pretty much all left to say from me anyway. So yeah, just over to you, Dan, to end it off.
Yeah, I think there's nothing else really we need to talk about. Austria is next week. Always makes for an exciting Grand Prix, but yeah, hopefully driving standards could be sorted out. Drivers maybe giving each other a little bit more respect. Keep our fingers crossed for that one. But that is all from us this evening. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. It's the big red button beneath the stream. You cannot miss it whatsoever. If you want to keep up to date with some PSGL tweets and such, you can follow us on Twitter at PremierSimGL. It's the same handle on Instagram as well. If you want to keep up to date with all your PSGL news, you can join the Discord. The link should be in the description. Thank you to our sponsors at GT Omega for providing us these wonderful chairs. You can check them out. The link is in the description. That is all from myself and Nathan Richards. Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening. We will see you next time in Austria. Thank you and good night.
Good night.
He's got the inside, here is through, on the left-hand side, hooks the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now, to the last couple of corners now, his finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium. Once again, the GOAT is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix in a stunning Grand Prix.
Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. climbing my phone, she